The engine explodes. Not literally, but the sound echoes across the empty Montana highway, like a gunshot. 36-year-old Jake Morrison watches black smoke pour from under his pickup's hood as rain hammers the metal roof. His 9-year-old son, Caleb, sits in the passenger seat, yellow raincoat zipped to his chin, clutching a worn backpack that holds everything they own. "Is it dead, Dad?" Caleb asks quietly. Jake wipes grease-stained hands on his jeans. "Nothing's ever really dead, son. Just temporarily broken." They've been living in this truck for 3 weeks now, ever since the landlord changed the locks on their apartment, and Jake's towing business finally collapsed. The boy doesn't complain. He never asks why they can't go home. At 9 years old, Caleb Morrison has learned that sometimes home is wherever your father parks the truck. Each night, Jake tells Caleb a new story about imaginary fishing trips, starry skies, or the dog they'll someday adopt. The stories help them forget the cold, the hunger, the noise of the rain pounding on rusted metal. Through the storm, headlights cut through the darkness. A red Ford pickup limps toward them, steam rising from its engine. The truck shudders to a stop, 20 yards away, and Jake watches a woman step out into the rain. She's maybe 32, wearing faded jeans and a canvas work jacket that's seen better years. Her blonde hair is pulled back in a practical ponytail, and she moves with the careful efficiency of someone who's learned to fix her own problems. "You folks okay?" she calls out, jogging toward them through the downpour. Jake steps out of his truck, leaving Caleb safe inside. "Engine trouble." "You." "Same." She extends a calloused hand. "Brooke Whitman. That's my farm truck giving up on life over there." "Jake Morrison. That's my son, Caleb." He shakes her hand, noting the genuine strength in her grip. "I'm a mechanic, or was. Might be able to help each other out." Brooke glances at their loaded truck bed, covered by a top. She doesn't ask questions, but Jake sees understanding flicker across her face. "There's a barn about 2 miles down this road. My place. We could wait out the storm there, take a proper look at both trucks." "I don't want to impose." "You're not imposing. I'm asking." Her voice carries quiet authority. This storm's getting worse, and that boy shouldn't be sitting in a broken truck all night. 20 minutes later, they're inside a weathered barn that smells of hay and motor oil. Brooke has coffee brewing on a camping stove, while Jake examines both engines by the light of battery-powered lanterns. Caleb sits on a hay bale, sketching in a notebook with colored pencils. "Your transmission's shot," Jake tells Brooke, wiping his hands on a rag. "But I can jury-rig something to get you home." "My engine, that's a bigger problem." "What kind of problem?" "The kind that costs more money than I've got." Jake's voice stays level, but Brooke catches the weight behind his words. She pours coffee into 3 mismatched mugs, adding extra sugar to Caleb's. "You said you were a mechanic." Past tense. "Had a towing business in town. Repo work, emergency calls, some repairs." Jake accepts the coffee gratefully. "Town's been dying since the bypass opened. Folks started taking their cars to the big shops in Billings. I held on longer than I should have." "What happened to Caleb's mother?" Jake's jaw tightens. "Car accident. 3 years ago. Drunk driver." Brooke nods slowly. No platitudes. No empty sympathy. Just acknowledgement of a hard truth. "What about you?" Jake asks. "This doesn't look like your first engine breakdown." "Grew up around machinery. My father owned a big operation. Cattle, wheat, the works." Brooke stares into her coffee. "I learned young that if you want something fixed right, you better know how to fix it yourself." "Owned?" Past tense. "We had a falling out. 7 years ago." Her voice goes flat. "He wanted me to marry someone he'd chosen. Someone who could help expand the business. I wanted to make my own choices. So I left." Jake watches her face in the lantern light. There's pain there, carefully controlled. "That must have been hard." "Hardest thing I ever did." But I couldn't live someone else's life. She gestures around the modest barn. This place is mine. 20 acres, a few head of cattle, enough garden space to feed myself. It's not much, but it's mine. Caleb looks up from his drawing. Can I see your cows? Brooke smiles, the first genuine smile Jake's seen from her. In the morning, if the rain stops. They're probably hiding in the south pasture right now. For the next hour, Jake works on Brooke's transmission while she helps hold lights and pass tools. They work in comfortable silence, both understanding the rhythm of mechanical repair. Caleb falls asleep on the hay bales, covered by Brooke's spare jacket. There, Jake says finally. She'll run, but drive easy. That fix won't last more than a few hundred miles. Thank you. Brooke hands him a thermos of coffee. For the road. Jake hesitates. I can't pay you for the coffee. Or the barn space. Hell, I can barely afford gas to get to the next town. Did I ask for payment? No, but... My father taught me a lot of things, Brooke says quietly. Most of them wrong. But one thing he got right. He said a person's worth isn't measured by what they own, but by what they do when someone needs help. Jake studies her face. Sounds like maybe he wasn't all wrong. Maybe not. She pulls an envelope from her jacket pocket. I got a letter yesterday. From his lawyer. He died 2 weeks ago. Jake doesn't know what to say. Heart attack. Alone in that big house. Brooke's voice stays steady. The lawyer says he left me everything. The ranch, the money, all of it. Wants me to come sign papers. Will you? I don't know. Part of me says it's blood money. Another part says, maybe he finally understood. She looks at Jake directly. But I know one thing. If I do take it, I want to do something good with it. Something he would have hated. Like what? Like starting a fund for people who need a second chance. Folks who lost their businesses, their homes. People trying to rebuild. She pauses. You interested in running a garage again? Real shop, with proper tools and steady customers. Jake stares at her. Why would you do that? Because tonight, you fixed my truck without asking what was in it for you. Because your son draws pictures of the two of you fishing, even though you're living in a pickup truck. Because sometimes, the best business decision is the one that helps someone else succeed. The rain begins to soften against the barn roof. I don't take charity, Jake says carefully. Good. I'm not offering charity. I'm offering partnership. You run the shop. I provide the startup costs. We split the profits 50-50 until you've earned back your investment. Then it's yours, free and clear. Jake looks at Caleb, still sleeping peacefully. Why me? Because 7 years ago, I walked away from everything to prove I could make it on my own. And I did. But making it alone isn't the same as making it matter. Brooke stands, brushing hay from her jeans. Maybe it's time I stopped running from my father's money and started using it the way he should have. Morning breaks, clear and bright. Jake's pickup starts on the first try, temporarily fixed with parts salvaged from an old tractor in Brooke's barn. Birds call from the trees, wet with last night's rain. The air smells fresh, like hope. Caleb feeds carrots to 3 curious cattle, while the adults load their belongings. You sure about this? Jake asks, as they prepare to follow Brooke back to town. Sure about what? Helping someone who helped me first. Brooke climbs into her truck. My father spent 40 years trying to control everything, and everyone around him. He died alone. Because of it. I figure there's got to be a better way. And if the garage fails, then we'll figure out something else. Together. Jake watches her drive away. Caleb already chattering excitedly about their new friend, and the cows they'll visit again. In his rearview mirror, he can see the spot where both trucks broke down the night before. Sometimes, Jake thinks, the best roads are the ones you never plan to take. He starts the engine, and follows Brooke toward town. Toward a future neither of them could have imagined 12 hours ago. Behind them, the storm clouds clear, revealing a sky full of possibilities.